So the last time when I uploaded the video of how you should learn Blender in year 2025 and beyond, the video is suffering from a lot of copyright issues. So here we are making another video on the same topic, but I am also going to add a few points, especially from a commenter named Quicksilver007 who suggested me a few things which were accurate. And so here we are making another tutorial video on how you should be learning Blender in the year 2025. So let's get started. So my first tip is going to be the same, which is to practice the Blender donut tutorial. But here's the catch. The commenter Quicksilver007 told me that you should perhaps try and learn shortcuts and render information before you actually start with the Blender donut tutorial. And in my opinion, he's correct. So I would suggest that in case of Blender donut tutorial, Blender Guru is extremely good at telling you how to navigate throughout the software, and he actually promotes using shortcuts more, especially for the first 2-3 videos. So what I would suggest is that you should follow the Blender donut tutorial, but for the first 2-3 videos you should follow those videos multiple times in order to build a habit of using shortcuts. Blender as a software is extremely good at using optimal amount of controls that you have on your desktop, and so in that case, building a habit of using shortcuts from the very beginning is definitely going to help you to increase your speed while you are doing any of your independent projects. Now, in case of hard surface modeling, I am still going to suggest you to learn hard surface modeling as a beginner, because let's be honest here, hard surface modeling is one of the aspects where Blender actually shines. In fact, Blender as a 3D software is extremely good at modeling in general because it has a lot of complex modeling tools. But when we talk about hard surface modeling specifically, for some reason hard surface modeling is extremely satisfying in Blender. From making the model to texturing it, everything is extremely satisfying. Yes, it can be hard and daunting at first, but if you follow guys like Thomas Cullen and Josh Gramble, they're gonna make you an expert in hard surface modeling in no time. If you follow through their tutorials religiously, you are gonna find yourself making your own projects and actually following through them, which is why I think hard surface modeling is so effective, because it actually makes Blender a fun software again. And so in my opinion, go ahead, make your own projects, start with hard surface modeling as the second thing you should be doing. Make your own vehicle, make your own tank, maybe make your own guns, make your own assets. So that's going to be the second point with hard surface modeling. One of the biggest mistakes that Blender beginners make is that they actually try to make each and every art piece perfect. And I think that is one of the bigger mistakes, because you are not going to make as many art when you are focusing on the quality too much. In case of Blender, it's very likely that if you focus on quality too much, it's gonna take a lot of time to complete each and every project, and you will actually lose interest in the software itself. Now this is a personal thing, and I would say that this happened to me more. Maybe in case of you, making a quality art is going to be more satisfying, in which case go ahead and do that. But in my opinion and my personal experience, I would still suggest you to make more amount of art rather than less amount of art with good quality. Now I'm not suggesting that you should compromise quality at all. What I am saying is that practicing more rough work is probably going to make your final work a lot more polished than rather making the final work straight up. So that is my third tip in case of learning Blender. Blender is a very interesting 3D software in the sense that you actually learn everything pretty quickly if you are dedicated enough, and once you learn enough, you don't want to learn anymore. Which is why I would say that don't let your ego get in the way. What I mean is that once you do know enough about Blender, you have to still open up hour-long tutorials just to understand how to maybe make a good volumetric lighting scenery. So what I'm trying to say is that don't let your ego get in the way. Even if you think you know about Blender enough, you should still continuously and consistently open up even long tutorial videos and still follow through them just to enhance your skills and improve them. Because let's be honest here, Blender as a 3D software has so many features that none of us know of. Like even most of the pro artists don't actually know each and everything in Blender. And so you as a beginner should not let your ego get in the way. And rather than doing that, you should still, even after learning the software enough, you should still follow through many tutorials. What I would also suggest you is to learn about particle system, volumetric lighting, maybe how to build a scenery and stuff so on. So that would be my fourth tip. In case of learning Blender, one of the key things to understand is that you have to learn how to export assets, how to install add-ons to your Blender software, and how to use them properly. A lot of people will tell you that modeling everything in your scenery is going to give you a good practice of Blender. And while that is true, it is also unnecessarily time consuming. In my case, I have never actually tried to model a plant or a tree, but I still use those assets and I still use those assets to enhance my scenery. That doesn't mean that my skills are low, and that doesn't mean that I cannot learn modeling them. It's just that I'm not interested enough in learning those things. So what I suggest is that you should work smart and not hard. What you will notice is that some of the best art pieces of Blender that you will see of maybe some of the people that you actually inspire to be like also use a lot of assets. And the reason for that is simple. Maybe you know how to model a car, but is it really worth it to model a car which would probably take you days or even a month just to put it in the background of a scenery? Perhaps not. So what I would suggest is that actually building a scenery would require you to more have the knowledge of where to place assets rather than modeling those assets specifically. So in my opinion, using assets, using Blender add-ons such as the Geoscatter add-on, learning those is going to make your work much faster and much more efficient. I would still suggest you to learn how to model certain basic things, even including certain complex things like cars or even tanks or hard surface models such as guns and all. But you should practice modeling them for your personal skills, not for your final project. In my opinion, for your final project, you can use as many assets as possible until and unless that particular art piece or that particular project has your own original take on it. I'm not telling you to just slap a bunch of assets and make a project and call it a day. What I'm trying to tell you is that you can use the help of those assets to enhance your project. Now, commenter Quicksilver007 told me that I should have added a point of learning rendering settings and rendering in general, and he's correct about it. But if you really want to learn about how to optimize your render times and render settings for best quality and stuff, then I have actually made a video on that and I will link it in the description. But in general, what I think is that Blender is not the strongest 3D software in terms of rendering, and there is a better option. So what I'm trying to say is that, hypothetically speaking, let's say you have already completed learning Blender and you have followed through the first few tips of this video. Then in that case, finally, I would suggest that you should move on to learning Unreal just for rendering. Unreal is extremely fast, and in case of Unreal, they give you the option of Lumen Render Engine, which can give you almost the exact same quality of cycles with literally 30 times more speed. And so I would suggest that don't stop at Blender. Blender combined with Unreal is going to shine a lot more, and it will bring out the real potential in you, the 3D artist. And with that, I would like to conclude my video. And shout out to Quicksilver007 who actually suggested me really amazing tips. And if you have any suggestions, drop them down in the comment below. Hopefully YouTube doesn't copyright this video as well. And we'll see about that. But until then, have a nice day.